Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, a show where you come for your regular geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host across a different pond. It's DL.
As always, good to see you, Tommy. As always, it's been a while though.
Pick a pond.
It's not really always, as of late. We've had a bit of a gap, but
it's been a rough start to the year.
It has. I'm across the. I guess where are you? You'd be. What ocean? What pond are we speaking of? Is it the Indian Ocean? I don't even know.
Look, this is a podcast about geeky stuff, definitely not about geography.
That
is not my strong suit.
That is
at all.
That is quite geeky. Cartography, the making of maps. Anyway,
making of maps, perhaps. Absolutely. How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
You've just got back across a different pond, right?
Yeah, man. I went to the last 3 or 4 weeks have been pretty crazy. I went to New York, then I went to LA, and then back to Houston. Saw the fight with Whitaker and Stylebender, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then went to Vegas for work for a week, and then back to LA, and then back to Sydney.
For work, in quotation marks. For work.
Dude, if I never go back to that place again, I'll be happy. It saps your soul.
You say that every time. I feel like there's a part of you that loves it.
I don't have... I mean, once you're there, yeah, but I don't have a choice, bro. It's just you gotta go. And once you're there, all you can do is enjoy the fucking depravity of it.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my work does it just before Christmas normally. They haven't done it for the last few years. They've been super cautious about anything which is more than like a handful of people.
Yeah, COVID, and it's just like, and they save a bunch of money, so like, fuck it, why not?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Pretend we're being safe.
Exactly. It's real times now, so I'm pretty sure it's about saving that money.
I was just gonna ask you how you've been, bro, because it's been a bit, but
it's been a minute. I'm pretty sure I'm jet lag right now. It's a long old story for another time. But I was in the UK for 4 weeks. I flew home for about 6 days. Realized I was in completely the wrong place, so I got from Sydney, turned back around, and came back to the UK. And I'm not sure what time zone my body's on, but it's definitely neither of the above.
Yeah, fair.
I'm just a bit like of a space cadet right now. So, yeah, but I'm doing good, man.
That's good.
As good as you can be, you know. Hey, just before we get started, I wanted to give a quick shout. We are starting another competition. Yay! We need like some of those sound effects in the background of people like cheering, like, yeah! No, I'm super excited. We're making it a little easier this time. However, it is once again going to be a prize of $100 AUD cinema voucher. Super excited. There's a whole bunch of amazing movies coming out. Hopefully, we're going to get to speak about a few of them coming up in the next few weeks. I know you're excited. Essentially, you need to find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram. Tag 3 of your geekiest friends in one of our upcoming posts. And you'll be in with a chance of winning. I know, like I say, I know you're pumped for this.
Yeah, totally. It's way easier than last time, so should be a good one. You know, that's a lot. You can get a lot done with $100 at a movie theater. You go on a date.
Absolutely.
Take a mate out for a nerdy little film adventure. You can go on 3 movies. Like, do what you want to do.
I was gonna say, if you can convince your mate to tag you as one of their geeky friends, maybe you can have a quid pro quo thing, tit for tat. You can take each other if you win. We had a fantastic turnout last time. It's really good. Good buddy MCU Informer won. So we're looking forward to seeing all of your geeky friends, and also for the lucky winners and maybe some runners up, there'll be a couple of cheeky exclusives coming to you as well. I know we've got some pod-ass t-shirts that only a handful of people in the entire world have. So
I think we should actually make a pod-ass t-shirt.
Well,
that would be pretty. That would be, adventurous.
Maybe one of the fans could do that. I'm absolutely not into that right now. But yeah, it's super simple. Find one of our posts. You'll find them on our Instagram at Podcast Assemble. Tag your 3 geekiest friends, and they can tag you as well. And we will be announcing the winner in 2 weeks' time on the pod, which should release on the 6th of March. And there'll be T's and C's, all that stuff. Lucky, our social media guy, Lucky told me to say that up top, because there absolutely will be, as always. But anyway, as we always say, there's going to also be time codes in the description. Is that how I say it? Time codes in the description. You can jump about if you want to listen to different things. So what have you been up to, buddy? What have you been filling all this time with?
Beyond traveling the world and rallying up sales reps, I've been watching a lot of stuff, actually. I kind of just caught up a bit and then found new things that I actually want to watch that I haven't. So I watched a bit of Hawkeye. Look, it's just really not doing it for me. I'm like halfway through.
Really?
Boring, but I'll finish it.
That's fair enough.
I started this show on Showtime, and I now have access to a Showtime account, by the way. So
Ooh.
we've got another little stream. We got all of them at this point, minus like Peacock.
I think I might even have Amazon now. We can watch everything.
Yeah. So it's this show called Yellow Jackets. Have you heard of it?
Okay. No.
It's basically like it follows this soccer team that is in high school, like all girls soccer team. Their plane crashes in like at this point you don't know where. But I think it gets mentioned eventually. It is a real place, and in the middle of the woods. And it's kind of like, did you ever read the book The Hatchet in school?
No.
It's kind of like Lord of the Flies meets The Hatchet meets like Lost.
Interesting.
And it's so far, it's really, really, I'm really intrigued. It's got parts where I'm like, oh, that's a bit gimmicky, but mostly it's really good. And it's like an all-female cast, basically. There's like 2 male characters. It's
Yellow Jacket, you say?
Yellow Jackets. It basically, and it time cuts a lot like Lost. If you ever watched Lost, it was like,
yeah.
It follows the present, and then randomly you'll jump to the future of these same characters, and you're kind of trying to figure out what's happened in between as these 2 timelines are happening. And then sometimes it even goes to the like the far past where these individuals are like children. So there's a couple different timelines. It's got, it's edging the line of like survival horror with a little bit of supernatural. I don't know if it's I'm too early to say if it's real or not, but
I like when things keep you on a knife edge. I like when they don't explain it to you and it's like, oh, there could be a bit of supernatural, there might not be.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's doing, and it's really good. So I watching that, finished the Book of Boba Fett, which had a strong finish.
I have 2 episodes to go, and I honestly don't know if I care enough to watch them, even though I know exactly what happens.
So the last, like the first 3, I was like, this is kind of boring. There are parts about like the Tusken Raider thing that I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. It's interesting, but like they're adding like lore to this one group that just has always been in the background.
Yeah, and they've almost been like a bit of a horror element, haven't they? They're almost like they're almost like
it personalizes them.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So I liked their like kind of almost like Native American call out where they put that lizard up the nose and he goes on this crazy trip. Have you seen that episode? It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, dude, it connects with The Mandalorian. Obviously, everyone knows that.
The last 2 episodes of Mandalorian. Like I was gonna call this out later on, but it's essentially, well, people are calling it a half DeLorean series. Like it's basically like over a third of the series is Mandalorian.
I'm not complaining though. Those are the best episodes. So I would.
Yeah, I know. That's
I would
the point.
watch that. I would finish it out, right? And then I've also been watching Space Force Season 2, which is like kind of like Steve Carell's new Netflix comedy that they had one. It's kind of like making fun of Donald Trump, and it's like the people that run the equivalent of like NASA, but a competitive one. And he's like the general that runs
like SpaceX, what's his name?
But it's but it's not privatized. It's like a government thing, and it's like a sitcom comedy. It's kind of like The Office, but in space, but following like a space agency. It's interesting. I quite enjoy it. It's mixed reviews, but I think it's pretty good. And then lastly, Nightmare Alley. Have you heard about this movie?
Ooh, I've heard of this. I've heard about it. I haven't watched it.
I'm halfway through, but it's got a really good cast. Bradley Cooper is like kind of headlining. There's a couple other. Who's the lady from like Hereditary and a couple other things? If you know what I'm talking about. I'll look at it.
I do know who you mean. I can't. I've got her. You know when you got someone's like face in your mind, but you just can't.
But it's.
Yeah. Oh my god. I know exactly.
It's Del Toro, Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, it's Guillermo del Toro. He's back. He's back, baby.
Back, baby. And it's a kind of like a noir, like detective noir. Kate Blanchett, Bradley Cooper, Toni Collette. Ooh. That's the one I was thinking of. Willem Dafoe, Richard Jenkins. It's just a really good cast, right? And I'm really, really digging it so far, but I'm only halfway through because it's a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours. So that's kind of what I've been watching. I actually am excited to watch Euphoria.
No, oh my god,
which I've heard really good things about.
Oh my god, I watched one episode with the partner, and I couldn't. It's intense, isn't it? So intense. I was like, I can't deal with this much drama. Can't do it.
I'm kind of okay. I think that Gail's gonna like. I think it'll be one that we would like watch together. So I'm gonna try and open up.
Zendaya's great in it.
Yeah, and Zendaya's she's my girl.
She's acting real hard.
Yeah, I'm stoked for her to be in that. Anyway, so that's what I'm watching. What about you?
I mean, we've had a lot of time, and I'm impressed by the amount you've managed to fit in there. I did try and watch a bit of the Boba Fett one. I haven't really clicked with it, and I kind of know what happens anyway. And I know that there's that spoilers for the Boba Fett show. We should have said that a minute ago. I know there is that weird Luke Skywalker deepfake thing that happens at the end, and I'm like,
I don't really mind it. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
people get all up in arms. It's fine.
I've been trying to do a lot of stuff because obviously I had some pretty hectic plane journeys, and there was one movie that I saw on my actually it must be on the first flight over here, and I was pumped to watch it. And it is the new Edgar Wright movie. It's called Last Night in Soho. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it is super interesting. You know how Edgar Wright, every movie is completely different to the last one, and even if it's in the same sort of subgenre, even if it's still a comedy, it's a different subgenre of that. It's not going to be another zombie one. It's going to be a police procedural one. And so
yeah,
obviously, you know, Edgar Wright's the guy who did the Cornetto trilogy.
Baby Driver.
By the way, we're going to do at some point. We are absolutely going to do the Cornetto trilogy at some point. Last Night in Soho is this crazy, weird, it's almost a horror. It's super deep. It's super dark. It's about this girl who moves to London, and she really struggles at first, and she moves into this old-timey house with this old lady, and she starts living in the past with this girl who she's got no idea who she is, but she learns about her life, and it starts off all amazing and butterflies and rainbows, and then all of a sudden it goes wrong and it becomes this crazy horror movie. And I just he just baffles me every time I watch an Edgar Wright movie, you know. Like, have you seen Baby Driver?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Like, it's the same sort of comparison. If you compare that to like a Cornetto trilogy, this is as different to Baby Driver as it is to everything else in his
repertoire.
filmography. Yeah, it's so interesting, and I didn't every time I say, oh, I don't know if this is something he could do, and then I watch it, I'm like, oh my god, he's just so good.
So Diana Rigg's in this, the Queen of Thorns. Interesting. Yes. And Matt Smith. It's
got a really good cast. I like Matt Smith. He was Doctor Who. I really liked him as.
Oh, I thought you didn't like him. Sorry, I mixed it up. It's
also got Anya Taylor-Joy in it, who is primo. She is fantastic in this. And the dude, Michael, I'm going to butcher this, Aho, A-J-A-O, Aho?
Michael Aho. Yeah.
He's real good as well. Plays like a kind of scared student friend of hers who like gets kind of mixed up in it. It's really interesting. It's really good. Highly recommend if you're up for like a bit of a horror, maybe more thriller than horror, but it has some horror elements for sure.
You know I am.
Yeah, you love that shit. I know I do. The other thing I've been watching, actually, while I've been at home, is a thing called Trigger Point. I love my BBC dramas. Damn, BBC, I'm British. It's in the title, BBC. Come on, man. And this isn't actually a BBC drama. It's a ITV, which is the other channel in the UK, the competitor. But it's basically stolen a bunch of BBC actors and chucked them all in together and gone, oh, let's see what we can do. But it's about a bomb disposal squad, and there's this like these targeted attacks going on in and around London. It's super interesting watching this bomb disposal squad trying to get in and like, you know, like snip the bombs, and can they do it in time and stuff. Like, I don't know, but tell me what you think. But like some films, when it's got the countdown timer on, even if I know the countdown timer is, you know, it's nothing, it's a fugazi, it's fugazi, I'm still like, my heart's going like this in the background, you know. I'm like,
yeah. I think that those, like, I'm always wondering when I see like the timers, I'm like, is it, if you actually timed it?
Yeah, I do that.
Would it be what they're saying? It always feels longer. But
I always do that. No word of a lie. I always do that, and it's very rare that it actually matches up. It's like 1 in 5, 1 in 6.
I feel like if I ever make a movie, I will ensure that is the case.
That would be my dream.
Should match up.
Not only you making a movie, DL, but also you making the time match up.
How about anything else? Or
yeah, there's one other thing I actually caught up with, because we talked about it last time. I thought I'd just say I did finally watch it, which was Spider-Man: Far From Home. I've had it on my list for so long, and I finally got the partner to watch it in those few glorious days when I was back in Sydney, and it's just such a wholesome movie, man. I really like that film.
So I was getting, right before we left, Gil and I were about to watch that. We cracked into the beginning of it. We'll have to finish it. Because she watched Homecoming and she liked it a lot. So
right. So because she wanted to watch the newest one, right? She wanted to watch No Way Home, but you were like, absolutely not.
You have to watch it. I almost feel like I have to make her watch the other Spider-Mans as well.
Yeah, we talked about this last time, I think.
What is your thoughts?
I told you this is a great chance for you to watch the Andrew Garfield ones, but I don't think she'll enjoy them at all.
I don't know, like maybe because they're so bad she will. She tends to like dumb bad movies.
Oh, they're not like dumb bad. They're just real bad.
Okay, fair call.
Speaking of the MCU, by the way.
Yeah.
Tell me right now, speaking of that amazing new Spider-Man movie, have you seen the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness trailer from the Super Bowl?
I think I did.
Mind blown. Like, so much happening in this trailer. There are different versions of Doctor Strange. There are different villains that we've not seen before. There is a voice cameo of your absolute favorite, Sir Patrick Stewart. You don't see him.
Wow.
You don't see him, but
Wow.
it is very much his voice. And there are so many theories and rumors, man. I think I'm just gonna go. This is my trailer. I know how excited I am for this. I don't need to watch anymore.
Put it in a box. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it in a box.
It just looks. It just looks phenomenal. Like there is one other thing I wanted to ask you about though. They released an image, like a poster for it, with all shards of glass breaking around Doctor Strange. There's one tiny little shard of glass that everyone thinks is Deadpool. Now tell me, right, what do you think? Would you like Deadpool in this movie?
I think that having those two go off each other would be fucking hilarious.
It'd be so weird.
I think it'd be really good. So I'd be down. But it does seem like he's kind of like the tone of the movies he's in with the tone of this movie would be very, very opposite. But
so much.
I think that they'd be able to pull it off.
If it was a quick cameo, like, I mean, this is the movie to bring him in.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. Yeah, I agree.
Like, this is how you get Ryan Reynolds into the MCU.
Yeah, I feel like if we went back even before we were watching this podcast when they announced like the new phases and all
watching
these
the podcast, do we watch this?
Or sorry, when we were doing the podcast. When they announced all the new phases and like, you know, Endgame had just happened and basically there was all these movies that had names but some of them didn't even have names. It was like
Untitled.
This movie, Untitled follow-up, right?
Yeah.
This was always the one I was most excited for. So I'm pretty pumped.
Which is kind of funny because if you go back to our episode on movies you're most excited for 2022, I think you'll find
trying to jab me. Yeah, because you stole it. Oh my god!
I don't think I stole it. I think
Arnold.
I think I just did my notes.
He was just a little bit more prepared. Yeah, he was just a little bit more prepared than me.
Don't rock up unprepared.
I'd staked that claim so long ago that we can roll the tapes, bro. Anyway,
it's true, man. It's gonna be an unreal movie. I can't wait. I don't think it needs like a Deadpool cameo, for example, because of all the other stuff it looks like it's doing. Like the stuff with Wanda alone just looks unbelievable. Yeah. Like I can't wait to see what she does. But did you hear this week as well? Looper is reporting that Dune Part 2 is going to start filming this summer. And by summer, I assume they don't mean Australian summer.
No, they don't. They're already doing it. It's pretty awesome. I'm stoked. Well, I mean, like, they had to, right? They had to do it fast because look at the people in that fucking film.
Absolutely.
Like, they're so in demand. Like, Zendaya, freaking, even what's his name? Timothy Chalamet is in everything.
He's the new Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Who needs to see that movie?
And then what's his name? Who's the one that's like, they're animals? What's his name?
Dave Bautista?
Yeah. No.
Who are you talking about?
Thanos. They fight like animals.
Get everything with guns in the air.
He's
Josh Brolin,
popular as hell. So like you knew like if they were gonna greenlight that, they had to get everyone's schedules freaking lined up quick. So I'm glad they did.
I'm surprised they got the cast to all line up. To be perfectly honest with you, yeah. I mean, I was reading a thing about a lot of the stuff in the Spider-Man No Way Home movie, and there's a lot of compositing where the people aren't actually there at the same time. They've just been like layered over. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to do a bit of that.
I mean, Villeneuve, like he's gonna attract them. Like they're obviously down. It's just a matter of like, you know, what else have they committed to. And then I also read about Dune that apparently the writer, he, you know, when he started writing the first one, he like had this crazy intro sequence that was basically like, you know, Dune, like the Genesis of the Bible, but for Dune, and like talked about how the world was made, and like it was like this crazy kind of prequel intro sequence to the world. And the Villeneuve was like, this looks really cool, but if I make this, I can't afford the rest of the movie. So we're cutting this one onto the cutting room floor.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I'd love to see that. I'd love to at least see the storyboarding of that, because there's bound to be some sort of.
For sure, there probably would be.
Yeah, that'll be sketched out.
Did you also see that we got a first look at Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer?
I did. I mean, it's just Cillian Murphy.
But it's like it just kind of looks like it just kind of looks like Tommy from fucking
it does.
Like Peaky Blinders. Yeah.
I don't know what's different about that picture.
I mean, he's a bit sharper. He looks a little bit more like the 50s as opposed to the 40s. But
look, I mean, we talked about that cast. That cast is stacked to the rafters, man. Like, there's just no way that's not going to be a good movie. Like, I just don't believe. I think everything's going to be good about it. But how's he going to fit in his weird time travel thing that he always does in all of his movies, Mr. Nolan?
He doesn't do that in fucking Dunkirk, does he?
In Dunkirk, the time was set. Like, I don't have the brain space for Dunkirk right now, but it is definitely like the time is dilated. Like one set is going at a slower pace than the rest of it. I can't remember, but he absolutely does.
There's always something to do with time.
Yeah, there is.
Well,
something.
I mean, we're talking about like nuclear fission and fusion. I'm sure he'll find some way to.
Oh, that's a fair point.
To weave it in.
It'll probably be a new Watchman.
Yeah,
there'll be a big blue dude with his dick out.
Gross,
dude. Did you see that Horizon Forbidden West has been released?
I want to see something.
Do you have it? Stop it.
I came home.
Stop it.
To this on my desk.
There's a moment right now. Dre is just moving his. Ah, my days. He is zooming right in.
Apparently, it was like on pre-order. My mom got it for me, and like while I was gone, it came in. So, but this is similar.
Your mom
to
got
like
it for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, she did. Similar to The Last of Us, I haven't played the first one, so I've gotta play the first one before I play this one. But
dude, the first one is massive.
I'm pretty excited. Like, it looks like a fucking. It's got dinosaurs, like native.
The new
tribes.
one does. Yeah, I mean,
both. They both have like robo dinosaurs.
Well, friend of the show, Joe, my buddy, friend of mine from Melbourne, he was harking on at me to play the first one for so long, and I was like, fine, God. I even had it. I'd had it for like 2 years, just sat in my room, and I was like, fine, I'll play it, because I don't like, I don't like stuff with bows and arrows and shit. But I played it, and
hand-eye coordination is off. Like,
don't have it at all. No hand-eye coordination on this
Plays
side of the
football.
pond.
Yeah,
exactly. Dude, if I could play it with my feet, I'd be exceptional. But yeah, I played it, and the first game is unbelievable, and it sets up a sequel nicely, actually. So I'm intrigued to know where they're going to take it. I probably won't buy it immediately because I've got a couple of games to play first. I've still got Ghost of Tsushima that's sat at home. I've got a game my partner bought me for Christmas at home. So eventually I'll be able to play my PlayStation again, and I might actually play some video games.
I need to take like a vacation just to play my PlayStation.
I know.
I have so many games piled up. Anyway.
Tell me about it. But yeah, that's for me. That's a lot of the news I've been seeing these last.
There's a couple other things I wanted to point out, but
please.
Have you seen the reviews that Elden Ring is getting?
No.
It's like apparently the best reviewed game in history.
Really?
IGN gave it a 10, and like the Metacritic score is off the charts. Like and like the thing is, I didn't want to play this game. I was like, it looks too big, it looks too hard, and now I'm like, fuck, do I have to? Like,
yes, you have to.
Do I have to?
I think I'm gonna play that before I play Horizon.
Yeah, we'll see. I can't say that because I have Horizon.
Yeah, that's true.
But the other one, Uncharted.
How about we do a swap? Like, I'll buy Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I'll play it, and then when you finish Horizon, we'll swap.
Easy.
Too easy.
And then the other one I wanted to point out was Uncharted. Drake's Uncharted movie is coming out, as you'd expect, a casual, just like 6 to 7 on most.
6.5.
It's like it should be the new Aquaman.
Absolutely. I don't know. We should probably watch it at some point. We should probably try and go and see it.
For sure. And then did you see that the White Lotus guy, Fred Hetchinger? You watched that show, right? Has been cast as like chameleon in, or like hypothetically chameleon in the Kraven the Hunter film.
I did. There's so many of those.
Do you have any opinion on
Sony-verse movies? I don't know how much I care. Like, I'm just like, I
was gonna ask if you had an opinion on it, because like you watched that show.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. I think he plays an angsty dude pretty well. Like, I don't know a huge amount about the chameleon other than like his name gives a lot away about him. I'm excited about this. The Aaron Taylor Johnson playing Kraven the Hunter. The two together could be great, but I'm at the same time like, he is a Spider-Man.
It could also be such.
He's a Spider-Man villain. Like, you can't do it without Spider-Man. How they're trying to do it, I just don't get it.
I don't either. But and then my last bit of news, Thomas, is a return of the weird news.
Oh yes, I can't wait.
And did you know that an Asia Air flight was stopped after a passenger spotted a motherfucking snake on the motherfucking plane? Could you imagine?
Did he really?
The picture, it's like inside like a light, and it's like this big green snake, and this guy's like, they're about to take off. Could you just imagine looking at him?
Oh
like,
my God,
probably not kosher.
I'm terrified of snakes in general. Like, I just think, nah, absolutely not.
Especially on planes.
Well, I remember one time in like primary school when I was probably about, I don't know, 9. They brought like a massive python in. They're like, oh, who wants to put it around their shoulders? And everyone was like, you do it. And I was like, so terrified I couldn't even touch it. I was like, absolutely fucking not. So that would scare the bejesus out of me.
Fair.
Look, before we move on to our final bit of news, well, it's actually a cheeky roundup, actually. Let us know what you guys have heard. We would love to know if there's anything we've missed. There's been so much news in the last 4 to 6 weeks, however long we've been away.
We've been not
which
around,
which we haven't brought up for a reason, because we'd love you guys to send it to us. Hit us up on Podcast Assemble on Instagram. We are there. Remember the competition while you're there. I just thought I'd give you one final bit of news, which is kind of just a wrap up of a heap of TV stuff. I mean, you've probably read the title of the episode by now, so this is kind of like a lead into that for sure. So it's new TV shows, renewals, new seasons, revivals. Are you ready for about 7 TV shows? Futurama is coming back to Hulu in 2023. A Warner Brother lawsuit has revealed that Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise movie, which I absolutely love, is apparently getting a TV show. Loving the sound of that. I'm just going to spin through these. It's quicker. And then we can pick out a few at the end. Stranger Things Season 4 will premiere on May. My computer says Matt 27th. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean on Netflix. But will apparently end with Season 5. Another one. Loki Season 2 reportedly start filming in 2022. Peacemaker's been greenlit for a 2nd season. Thank the Lord. And
it's got good reviews.
The last one is that Deadline is reporting that Halo, being released, has been renewed for a 2nd season by Paramount. We've not even seen anything other than that tiny little teaser trailer. We know nothing about it, but they're thinking it's promising enough to warrant a 2nd season. Condensed down, all of that stuff, are you excited?
I am, dude. I am. There's some of those that I'm like, why? Like the Edge of Tomorrow, like wasn't that story told
so long ago?
Like, what else can you do? But yeah, and it's almost like somebody's like, well, we can make some money here. Like that's
absolutely, yeah.
Then the Stranger Things, I'm glad they're ending it at 5. I don't want that. Like honestly, I thought they'd end it after this season.
I'm with that too. I feel like they could have done 3 and 4 and made it 3 a better story and 4 a better story.
Yeah.
I feel like there was an episode in season 2 that everyone hates when 11 runs away for like a day.
It was weird.
I just wish they'd have like just stuck with it, because sometimes those weird ideas are the ones that really like get in your brain and go, that could be an interesting thing. And I wish they'd have just given us more of that and more about the other people who were in the thing with us.
It's funny, I did hate that, but I think I hated it because it was so like off the cuff and like not fully fleshed out and so random. Like if it had more to it, maybe I would have liked it.
Yeah,
more,
absolutely. You know? And I think if they'd have built on it, maybe just had just keep flicking back to it. Like maybe she has like a connection with her the other girl through the Upside Down or something. You know what I mean? Just anything, and she keeps seeing her or whatever. And they flesh that character out over time. You'd be psyched to go back in another episode with that weird little group of misfits.
It was very like Warriors-esque, that episode.
Yeah. I think they were going for that. Definitely with the look anyway. But I think for me, Peacemaker and Loki season 2, absolute highlights there. Like, I'm going to talk about Peacemaker next week, because I've not quite finished it. I've got 1 episode left, but I know I'm already... It's probably my favorite TV show of the last 3 or 4 years.
It's the next thing on my list. I'm excited to dig into it.
Have to watch that. All right. Do you want to give us a bit of a preface for the main topic?
Yeah, the main topic this week is, we each picked like 3 shows that are coming out that we think won't live up to the hype.
Yeah, speaking of TV shows,
and
speaking of
what we just talked about, one of which I didn't talk about much, even though you just mentioned it, because it is my number 1 on the list. But I will. Any other things you want to preface it before we jump in, or how do you want to do this? Do you want to just go one to one?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm excited. We'll just sort of discuss. I think coming off the back of talking about all the TV shows, and also we talked about the Half DeLorean. Like, a lot of people feel that was a letdown, that TV show, and Star Wars. It peaks and troughs at a minute. So these are TV shows that we think are doomed to fail. Now, disclaimer: I don't think we want them to fail.
For sure. That is not what I want. But
I don't think we do.
I'm a jaded sales rep, right? So I've been sold this shit before, and I'm not buying it.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump in then, man. I'd love to know. I would actually really like to know what things you think are gonna fail, because I've got 3 that I think, one of which you're gonna pick up. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can see that. But the other 2 maybe less so. So I'd love to know what you think's gonna.
So the first one I picked, and this is not like I'm saving my favorite one and the one I also think will fail the worst for last.
Okay, all right.
But the first one I picked was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Ooh.
So I just think why?
The gritty reboot.
Why? And I get why you're gonna do a gritty reboot, right? Like I get like if you're gonna do it, make it gritty. But also I think that like totally conflicts with like what the heart of the original was.
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you just make a gritty story about a young black male in a different setting that makes more sense?
Yeah, make a good TV show.
Right? Like so like make something new. Like to me it's just impossible to repeat Will Smith's performance. He's kind of like one of a kind because it like he was amazing and charismatic and it like put him on the map and now he's a superstar. Absolutely. And has been for the last 30 years. And then it just like there just wasn't that many all black casted shows back in the day.
No.
And I feel like this kind of pioneered that. And it's like, you know, are you gonna do that justice? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean part of the charm of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was that like even though yes, I would say probably 60-70% of it was comedic. Yeah, you absolutely had the comedy there, but it had those serious undertones. Like you think about the episode where his dad left again, and he was literally crying. Yeah. It's like that was the heart of that. That was the heart and soul of that show. So could this get any of that? Yeah,
100%. It's heartwarming, and it was positive in its message, absolutely. Right? Like. Which I think it's like harder to like make a gritty reboot. Like the message just won't be the same. The tone won't be the same. And so why put the name on it? It's only a money grab in my opinion.
I think so too. I mean, they did, didn't they? They did like a mini teaser type trailer thing, like as like a just throwing it out there, seeing how people respond. People are like, this looks great. So they've clearly just gone, fuck it, all right, let's do it.
And then. Candidly, that teaser, like the actual show, looks more like a Disney Channel original than like creatively and oftentimes like heart wrench. Like it doesn't seem like it's actually going to be gritty enough to make a change. I feel like it's going to fall somewhere in between and just not hit it all. And when you look at like teen dramas, right, that is such a crowded space. Yeah. Like a serious teen drama, like they're going against Euphoria, which is shit people love right now. Like everyone's talking about that show.
Deep.
I just don't think that like a network television, because it's Peacock, right, produced gritty show is going to actually hit. So my silver lining is maybe they'll tackle hard issues and it isn't dumbed down by its roots and by its network, but I doubt it.
I mean, the hope for me hope for me with that would absolutely be that they create new stars. Like I mean, the more diversity in our stars, the better. You know, I'm sick of seeing Tom Cruise in every fucking movie of all time. So hopefully it creates like a new wave of stars, but also I really hope that it keeps some of the sort of like the heartwarming stuff that you mentioned. Like that's the biggest part of that show. Like, yeah, it can be gritty and it's definitely going to go up against things like Euphoria that is going to do it way better. But I just hope that it does keep a little bit of that, that love that the first series came with. Yeah.
How about you? What's your first one?
You've thrown me because you've not gone with the one that you think. I'm gonna start with the second one I wrote about, which is.
Did you pick the Bel Air?
No,
too?
I didn't. But you threw me because you were like, I'm gonna put the one I think's gonna bomb worse last, and I'm like, God, maybe I should do that. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is the one that I thought you'd be able to pick up on fairly easily. It's Westworld season 4. Now, I think I've talked about Westworld a fair bit on this podcast, but. Dude, this for me, the first season is an absolute Mount Rushmore, like season of TV.
Single season of television.
Isolated, it's phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Just that season, but it's absolutely smashing out the law of diminishing returns, right? So the first season, like I say, it's this, ex machina-esque philosophical tale about what it means to be alive. It's exhilarating. It's got different timelines. The second season, it's really good. It's doing some interesting stuff. It's playing in the same sandbox, maybe not quite hitting the same heights. Season 3,
that's exactly
season
true.
3, I was like,
exactly right.
What the fuck is going on? Like, I get it had to evolve at some point and be a bit different, but it felt like they'd written a series about a completely different series and then just gone, oh, we can put Westworld's name on this. And I'm like, that's not what it's meant to be.
I mean, like, that's okay if the new series takes it like to new places and explores new versions of like what they were trying to explore, or quite frankly is good.
Yeah, I mean,
on its own.
I agree.
It's like when your favorite band makes a new album, like Radiohead's freaking The Bends is not the same thing as OK Computer, but like you can appreciate the I guess creative effort and quality that they bring to both styles.
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't heard a lot about season 3. I haven't seen it, but I didn't hear that about it.
So I guess I guess what this is so season 1 and 2, though the quality wasn't quite there in the second season, it was still exploring stuff within the same sort of realm. So it's obviously around Westworld, and there was obviously Eastworld, and there were different stuff that they were dipping into. Whereas the third season was just like, yeah, it's the future. All the robots are bust out. It's a different thing. And I'm like, I get you're trying to do something different, but like, it's not linking to the original show as in any real way.
Where is it going? Yeah, where is it going?
And like the best bit about it was that like the ending, like the last 30 seconds, almost like the post credits, was the only bit I was like, oh, that's actually really fucking interesting. And the rest of it, I was like, I don't know how much I care about this. So I'm kind of intrigued to know kind of where that's going to go. But for me, I'm just, we don't know anything really about this. But the one thing that is really putting me off right now is that Aaron Paul is coming back. And I do not like Aaron Paul at all.
Was he in the third season?
He's in the third season. He's like a main character in the third season.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
But
why would you?
I gotta watch that. Give it a go. But the question is, do I have to rewatch the first 2 seasons to even remember what the fuck happened to watch the third?
I don't think you have to watch the second season. You just have to know that.
I think I might just do I've seen the second season. I think I'll just watch like a summary video on YouTube and then
after the first season, man, I got into such a deep hole on YouTube of like, what's it all mean? Like, what is this guy doing here? And like literally, like I was like about all the theories, and then I watched the second season. I was like, oh yeah, I'm okay with that. And the third season, nah, like I just don't give a shit.
Well, the cast was so good in the first season.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to watch YouTube videos for the third one to understand what was actually happening, because I didn't really understand.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, hit me up. What's your next one, man? I'm intrigued because, like,
to my number 2.
I love talking about things that are gonna fail. I think this is a lot. This is way more fun than things that we actually enjoy.
Yeah, and it's also like it's really masochistic because I want these things to succeed.
Man,
but I just don't know they will.
If you gave me a season of Westworld that was anywhere near as good as the first one, I would never say a bad word about it again. But there's just no way. There's no way they can bring it back from where they were.
I think it's like we need to like stop, I guess, criticizing shows that are just one and done. Some of the best shows I've ever seen are one and done.
Absolutely.
Like, or should have been one and done. True Detective, Westworld, I think it falls into that.
You say
for
that
me.
Season 3 of True Detective is as good as the first one.
I still haven't seen it.
It's as good.
Oh, that's a bold claim, but I'll watch it.
Put it on the list. Get it watched, because I would love to talk about that. It's phenomenal.
So my second, and it'll come as no surprise. Maybe it will come as a surprise. Some people might think I'm a fanboy, but Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
No shit.
Yeah, the shows that aren't going to live up to the hype, and I guess like the simplest answer here is, how could it ever live up? to the hype?
How could it?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it never really could. So it's already gonna be naturally like bundled into this category.
Dude, it's been one of the best shows. Like, what, how many years since the last season finished? Like, the time's gone. It's past.
It's not even that the time's gone. It's more just like that was one of the like Game of Thrones is one of the like most culty best shows ever created, despite literally goose egging, face planting, belly flopping, insert phrase, the ending. Like, it still carries that weight. And so how are you going to beat that? Like, I don't know. I don't think you really can. Not to mention, after spending $31 million on the pilot for a different spinoff, they nixed it for this one. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, how good is this one then? Because you just spent $30 million on a pilot and threw it in the bin.
So this one's about the Targaryens, right? Remind me, I can't fully remember.
So summary, it's set like I think 100 or 200 years before Game of Thrones, and it's about the Targaryens and their rise to power. Not really their rise, but they're kind of at the peak of their power.
Oh, right.
And there's a part of their lore called the Dance with the Dragons, and it's basically a civil war breaks out between the Targaryens to understand nerd alert to understand or to kind of determine who will be next in line. I don't want to spoil it anymore, but it's just a civil war in a royal family with dragons and badass white hair.
So do you think there's going to be a lot of dragons in this one?
This is set in the peak age of dragons.
Ooh, exciting!
Like, not like the peak age of like Westerosi dragons.
Not when they were getting smaller and smaller.
No, this is like right before that. So, and I guess like technically the age of old nerd alert, the age of old Valyria, where the Targaryens came from, was actually the peak age.
We
of
need
dragons.
like a nerd alert siren.
This is set after that, and it's, I guess, that's part of the problem, I think, right? Like, I'm like, okay, you're in this, big budget, 10 plus dragon, setting. Like, is that going to kill the intimate character driven nature that made Game of Thrones, the slow plotting, but really, really calculated, dense character building that made it so great? And are we going to get more of a season 7, season 8, as opposed to a season 1 through 6?
Speaking of Matt Smith earlier, he's in it as well. I wonder how much.
I actually think he looks really good in it.
Okay,
though.
You like him with the blonde hair?
I think he just looks like just the right amount of good looking and just the right amount of creepy to be an incest baby. You know what I mean?
Please tell him that. Let's tweet Matt Smith immediately and let him know.
I think he pulls it off, bro.
I think the thing for me is, we'll talk this to death, so I'm not going to go into it, that, like you say, it does have an absolutely huge budget, right? And the thing that made Game of Thrones for me, especially in the early seasons, was the low budget, man. Like I keep coming back to it, the episode where Tyrion gets knocked out at the beginning of a battle because they couldn't afford to show a full battle on screen. I'm like, that made it for me. It was all in corridors, and there was one episode a season that actually had a big thing in it. I'm like, that made it for me. The fact that it didn't need to be $100 million season and everything was fucking huge and explosions were all CGI. I'm like, I want it to be about the characters. So you mentioned that. I find that really interesting, that which way they're going to go with that.
I feel like season 3 and 4 had it like best, where it was like the peak amount of budget and the peak amount of like character driven moments, and after that they kind of careened down a hill of leading more Hollywood.
Which season did Rob Stark get 3? Yeah, that's my favorite season. What's your favorite episode? We should save this for.
I would say, it's pretty hard because like there's like 2 kinds of Game of Thrones episodes, right? There's like the character driven ones, and then there's like the like battle episodes.
My favorite's both.
I would say mine would probably be the Battle for the Wall.
Okay.
I really liked that one. Or the Hold the Door episode of season
that's
6,
a phenomenal episode. Yeah, I give you that.
Yeah.
But mine's always going to be the Battle for the Blackwater episode, because it has everything.
It's a great episode.
It has all of the character development. You find out exactly who Joffrey really is. You find out exactly who Tyrion is. You find out how much of a dictator Stannis is. The fight scenes are amazing.
It's really good. It's a great episode.
Little bits of CGI, if not like it's got. Sorry, I'm way going off topic here, but like that's what I want from this show. I want minimal like CGI, minimal over the top spending, all about the characters.
See, like you're not gonna get that. You're gonna get massive CGI, but I just wonder. I just hope that they're able to weave it right. And the one thing that kind of gives me pause, but also gets me like, okay, like maybe it could happen, is the writer doesn't have like a ton of history, right? He's got like Rampage, Hercules, where I'm like, ugh, gross.
Ugh.
But then he's got this show called Colony, which is like a cult classic apparently, where it's like, which is exactly what we're asking for, right? It's about this alien invasion, I think, but it's not following the aliens. It's following just the people in it. So I'm like, okay, like maybe you got this. And I guess if I'm going to round it out, bro. Like this is, this is the one where, I really, of all of them, I really do hope this one's good. And I think it has the most chance to be good. Like if you think about The Dance with Dragons was the best part of George's Fire and Blood book, which is a very boring tome.
I really tried to read that and I failed. I got about 10 chapters in and just went, screw this.
I was going to say, if you get to like the 50% mark, he covers The Dance with Dragons, and it was actually the only part that wasn't fucking boring.
Right.
And I really hope that like it focuses on these characters and the expansive world outside of Westeros, Essos, because that's such a big part of the lore, and it's where the Targaryens came from. So you expect it'll kind of focus on that. And then perhaps like, the casting looks really good. The directors are also the best directors from all the Game of Thrones original show. And George himself has commented on that he's a big fan of what he's seen so far, which he said not
go
for the last 2 seasons.
Write the last 2 books.
Dude, he said nothing for the last 2 seasons. So the fact that he was silent about that and he's speaking up here gives me a little bit of hope.
All right.
Anyway, what's your second
that's
one?
All right. I'm with you. I think it might.
Yeah.
It could even be a case of the first season sucks and you just have to push through.
I hope not.
Who knows? Who knows? Matt Smith. What did you say? He's half creepy enough, half good looking enough. Just what you want to hear.
to be an incest baby. Yeah.
All right. My second one. And we would be remiss if we didn't bring up at least something to do with the MCU, right? I mean, we tend to do that here. We talk a bit about it. Let's be honest. I'm not going to wax lyrical about Peacemaker anymore. My second one is a bit of a random one, and it's one that I'd completely forgotten existed until I started looking into this, and it is Agatha, House of Harkness. Now, it's easy to forget this one, right? Because it's essentially a spin-off of WandaVision. It gave us an absolute jam. Agatha all along. We know who she is. She was the big bad.
It was Agatha.
Yeah, it's a jam. But like, I'm wondering. Let me explain why this is on my list. So I'm sort of wondering how they're going to turn this character from being essentially a twist ending, who you didn't know was a bad guy until sort of like the last episode, from a show that was so well received and was so amazing about, WandaVision was just this really compelling character examination of like grief and loss and how she was dealing with her PTSD and everything. And it's just this random side character who you've barely spent any time with. And she was just well received. You know what I mean? Like everyone was like,
the only way they do it. Well, she did a great job acting. I think.
I'm not saying she's not great. And that's one of my points, actually. I was saying I feel like this is just a vehicle to keep Catherine Hahn on board in the Marvel sort of universe. And, it could even be a case of when Wanda's had her bad turn in Doctor Strange, it comes full circle and it comes back to where the comic books are, and she becomes like a bit of a mentor to Wanda. However, I'm looking at this and I'm kind of going, who is she again? Like you remember when it happened?
What's the setup again?
Yeah, well,
have they given us any information?
That's my point. You remember when it happened and we were?
Is it a prequel?
We don't know. That's the point. So we don't
it probably has to be a prequel.
Yeah, we don't really know anything about it. We don't even have a release date. We just know that WandaVision writer Jacques Schaefer is back, baby, coming back to write and maybe direct as well. And it's not even going to be filming yet. Like, it was only announced mid last year, so we reckon filming mid 2023, maybe 24. So we know nothing. And I'm like, for me, it's a case of, how Falcon and the Winter Soldier was just kind of meh. Like, I didn't need to know those extra bits about those characters. I feel like this is where this is going to sit.
See, if they do a prequel to expand on the chaos magic lore or whatever the hell they call it, that is the only place for this, I think.
Well, I mean, it absolutely could. Like, they showed glimpses of her and her witch coven from when she was back in the Salem witch trials.
That's my point.
That'd be pretty interesting. Yeah. But my next question to you it's a rhetorical question, is how does that move the story along?
It's rhetorical, so I'm not allowed to answer.
You can't answer. I just don't think it will. I think I'm just a bit like...
I think that like it gives it expands Wanda's backstory from being a science experiment to being a part of something that's bigger and take like it just creates lore that they can interweave into the MCU later, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the goal of it.
You get my point why I don't think it's going to do anything. I feel it's just one of these...
I do. I think that the worry here is that they were just like, oh, this is such a cool character. Let's make something.
That's what I'm saying.
Which you summarized quite well. Yeah.
I think when they streamed this to the guys in Disney HQ, whenever Agnes was on screen, they were all hitting the plus button yes, we like Agatha, she's great. And they've gone there, fuck it, all right, let's do a show about it. And I'm like, I don't need to know more about this character. Like, I liked her. She was a great one-off. Maybe have her back if they do like something else with the WandaVision side of things. I just don't care.
Fair enough.
I feel like that's the one that's going to be the Aquaman of the MCU.
I think that Hawkeye is by far been
dude.
The
surely
one
it's going to be worse than Hawkeye. At least ends well.
Well, I haven't seen the ending, so let me reserve judgment.
That's your own fault. Come on then. Let's quickly jump on to your final, because I'm excited to know, man. Like, you built this up a minute ago. You've given me you've given it the big build.
Yeah, like I really, really want this to succeed, but just like I had fears, I'm hoping it goes the way of the video game, because I had fears about Halo Infinite.
Ooh.
And they were assuaged. But my fears for Halo the show, I don't think will be assuaged.
Ooh.
So that's my top one. It's Halo the TV series. Look, there's I have literally a half a paragraph of things I could say about why this will succeed. So the first thing I'm going to say is like just the synopsis, right, is my biggest gripe. Halo is set to follow an epic 26th century conflict between humanity and an alien threat known as the Covenant. Halo will weave deeply drawn personal stories with action, adventure, and a richly imagined vision of the future. And it is inspired by the games, but it is its own non-canon story. If that doesn't scream the Resident Evil treatment,
oh my god, yeah, you're right,
for a movie franchise, like I don't know what does, and that is scary because that is a terrible franchise of movies.
So bad.
And the funny part is, like, I can see why you do that with Resident Evil. As good as the story is in the games, like, it is kind of cheesy. It's like 80s cheesy thriller. Halo is actually like a really good story, and like you don't need to change it. Like you're gonna piss off fans. The only people that are really gonna come. And
well, that was what I was gonna say. Like, fans love this property.
Yeah. And B, usually it's not as good when you change it. So like the people you're trying to bring in, like and make it more attainable and I guess digestible to a non-video game audience, like they're just gonna be like, what is this? Because the story's not the same. The good part you took out.
I feel like I haven't, but I was gonna mention the Last of Us, which is I feel in exactly the same space. Like, if you change it too much from the source material, you alienate fans. If you keep it too close to the source material, you alienate everyone. Like, because people know how that game ends, and like Halo, like, I mean, I know nothing about the games, but I know how the game ends. I know how the first one ends.
I think it's like totally okay though to like when you make a movie after a book, you don't change the ending usually. Like a lot of times, a lot of the core storyline is kept the same.
It's very true.
It's okay to know the ending. It's like, how do you bring it to film in a way that's super striking and basically, you know, brings the core of the book into a new medium. Like, don't change the story just because it's a different medium. But anyway,
so what do we know about it? What do we know other than that synopsis? Because obviously Pablo Schreiber is going to be the main character, and I'm looking at him and I have no idea who this dude is. He's in Skyscraper.
No, well, that's my other thing. Charlie Murphy's in this.
Charlie Murphy,
the guy. Yes, the last time I saw him, he was getting punched in the face by fucking Rick James.
What did the hand say to the face? Slap.
So my point being, like, I don't know that like they were able to attract like really good talent because of the screenplay based off the people that they've pulled on, right? And when I look at like the history of it, they went through at least 2 showrunners and a trillion other changes as this was developed.
Yeah, but it's been developed over many years. It started off as a film, and then it was going to be something else.
It's like that Peter Jackson. Like, that's my point. There's too many cooks in the kitchen between Bungie, Showtime, the showrunners, 3 other big name studios.
Did you see the CGI they're using for the Cortana character?
Yeah, it was kind of iffy, wasn't it?
It's like PS2 level. It's so bad.
It just feels like too many opinions, and this show is one that, like, to do it well was like it needed focus and creative focus with a lens for both the game and its core mysteries, but also like the surrounding books that were really, really good, that are a part of the lore. And it sounds like they're just going to do their own thing. They're not really going to pay attention to that stuff, which kind of leads me to like my biggest reason for I think it's going to fail is that both like the ecosystem around Master Chief and the history is part of what brought me in. Like the people and characters that he leads. In the books, he's not this faceless character like he is in the games. You know what he looks like. You know his story. His coaches, his adversaries as he's going through this training. All that stuff is really fleshed out. And that'd be great for a TV series. I don't think they're going to do that. The political dynamics and their like kind of related moral grayness. So there's like the Spartan program, which I've talked about before, which is like completely created for the wrong reasons, but ends up saving humanity. So the grayness there.
I like that though. That's the one bit I really took from the trailer, like the whole Spartan program bit. I hope they follow through with that sort of political intrigue part.
I do too. And then you have like ONI, which is like the CIA of this modern era, kind of trying to basically politically. They're in political conflict with the Spartan program because they're their own division that's trying to kind of defeat the Covenant in their own way. And so there's almost this like, what's the word, Homeland style series of like the 2 government powers kind of battling. And then you've got this whole mystery about like the lore that's more sci-fi and like the whole Covenant theocracy and like how the Covenant created this religion that they got all these people sworn into. Of different alien races, and I just don't think they're gonna dabble into that.
Do you think they're just gonna go Michael Bay? Pew pew, bang bang.
Yes, exactly. That's the problem, and that's the story that brought me in. I just don't think that like they're gonna use the mystery and this massive expanding lore that kind of includes elements of action. I think they're gonna turn this into an action movie that just has the names of those things, and they die and explode.
I'm with you. I think as a TV show, it's a tough balance, man. Like with any beloved medium, like anything at all. Unless you're Peter Jackson making the original Lord of the Rings films, I think it's going to be really hard to adapt in any sense. And speaking of, that is the best segue I've ever done. My third one.
Yeah, look at you.
My third one is literally that. It's Lord of the Rings, The Ring of Power show. Sorry to just cut you completely off there. I just cannot see how this can be good. Like in my head, like I'm still burnt from those Hobbit movies. Like, I don't have any sentimentality for it anymore. Like, all of the Lord of the Rings mythology that I know about and have loved over the years kind of got burnt with those Hobbit books. Like, I still obviously love the original films, but this has been touted as like the TV's first $1 billion show, and I'm like, are Amazon trying too hard here? Are they like,
The answer is yes.
Are they putting all their eggs in one basket? Pretty fucking much. And the sort of like tagline "too big to fail" has been thrown around, and I'm like, I feel like this could be just a huge disaster.
So the thing I want to know is who's writing this, because if they created their own story that was like true to the tones and themes of like J.R.R. Tolkien's stories, and just explore them in different ways using his lore, like, you could see how this might be successful. But that's a big if. To find someone capable of doing that is really hard. And I don't know these writers. There's
Patrick McKay.
J.R.R. Tolkien is they're saying the writer, but who's the actual writer of the...
Well, the creators of the show are Patrick McKay, and I'm looking at his filmography now, and he literally has
Star Trek,
Flash Gordon, and this, and Star Trek.
Oh, they got Brian Cogman.
I mean, John D. Payne.
He's pretty good.
It's got some pretty heavy hitters behind it, but like, honestly, for me, outside of the being burnt by it, like, I just feel for a show that's coming out in September. We know nothing about this. There's been...
It's by design, though, surely.
Surely it is, but it could also be because it's been chopped and changed a bunch of times. Interestingly, one thing, though, that I did want to shout out was that the cast is kind of a bunch of unknowns. I find that really
that's
interesting.
Good, though.
Like, for me, that's a Game of Thrones move right there. That's kind of positive.
I like that. Yeah.
I'm feeling like that could be a good thing, but then when I saw the teaser, I was like, this just looks so generic fancy. And I've seen so many generic fancies recently, I'm just like, I just don't need another one.
So it's fair. We'll see what they do, but like, I did like the fact that the biggest name that I knew was actually I thought that was someone else. I don't know anyone else. You're right.
I literally
don't
know
anyone. Yeah.
No, I'm the same. I really don't know any of these characters. Like I say, the teaser didn't really strike me, but it does have the Witcher director, I'm going to butcher the second name, Chloe Branstrom, who she's joined the series to apparently do 2 episodes. And, you know, I really like how that Witcher series went on, especially the second one. Damn, that was one of my favorite series fancy-wise for a long time. So you mix that with they're going to be doing adult content too. I'm not sure how Lord of the Rings that is, but
it's actually very...
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they've tried to go an edgy, different direction and make it appeal to so many different sectors, and completely forgotten to really appeal to the people it matters, which is the people who like Lord of the Rings.
I'll tell you what, though, looking at this, like, the set pieces, it will be beautiful. That Billy, you can see it. Like, I'm just looking at the different screenshots and grabs that have been released, and it's gonna look good on my big TV. That's for damn sure.
It's gonna look good, but that literally doesn't tell you what the story's gonna be.
Oh no, I have no idea about that.
Well, that's my third one. We would love to know what you guys think is gonna bomb in the next couple of years. But before we get to moving on, I did have one dishonorable mention. I don't know if you had any.
I don't, but I can come up with one if you.
Well, like. I'll give you a quick one. I'd love to know what your thoughts are, and we'll very quickly touch on The Witcher: Blood Origin, which is a prequel to the Witcher show we've currently got, and it's building out the mythology and the backgrounds for a lot of the stuff and all the different feuds and all that stuff going on, and
Nemesis.
Yeah, and breaking down the entire continent. So I'm interested, but I don't think we need it this soon. Do you?
I think that they're just trying to build this world, and I'm not worried about that one. Like, because honestly, what I've come to realize from The Witcher is I like it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't deserve the expectations that I give it at the same time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, it doesn't necessarily deserve to be a show that gets super analyzed, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. It's kind of like The Mandalorian. Like, it doesn't deserve to have like this massive analysis put on it. It's kind of is what it is. And
I don't know what you mean. I'm going to analyze every second of it. And before this comes out, we're absolutely going to do the second season of The Witcher. For sure.
I would say my biggest ones, I would say the Rangers of the New Republic.
Oh, yeah.
Probably would be or Mass Effect, which got announced that they're making a series. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to pull that off. Because like the whole point of Mass Effect was like you create your shepherd, right? And so it's like, it's kind of like The Witcher as well. It's like, how do you do that? Well, you have to stick to the tones and themes, I guess, of the different ways you could go. But the Rangers of the New Republic was just because they're going to center it around that chick that sucks and she's gone.
Oh,
so maybe it'll be good.
Sorry, I know what you mean.
Because she became a ranger. What was her name? The one that like basically got got canceled.
Yeah,
rightfully
I've forgotten
so.
who. I know exactly. I've got it. Gina Carano, something like that. She got cancelled very quickly.
Yeah, she was going to lead that, and now she's not. So maybe it'll be better for that reason.
Who's going to lead it?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like a super intriguing topic for me. The Rangers of the New Republic.
Probably the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Yeah, the Old Republic was a different story because they were in this like crazy setting where there's all these Jedis and Siths and
Very
crazy
true,
cool
but
shit.
you've got to move on from that at some point,
Yeah.
mate. You can't have Star Wars just being that forever.
I get it. I'm just saying I don't think it'll be good.
Well, like I say,
Anyway.
we would love to know what you guys think will bomb of the upcoming TV shows. And again, disclaimer, we don't want these to fail. We just think there's a good
We
chance.
just expect them to.
There's a good chance that maybe
just
they're a
jaded.
little bit off kilter. But shall we skip into correspondence?
Do it to it.
We've had a little bit while we've been away. I'm just going to send you every week. I say that every week we ask for memes. I love memes. Please send us superhero themed memes. And I'm going to quickly just forward one on to you now, DL, because I think you'll really like this one. This was sent to us by friend of the show, Bertie. And I think you'll really enjoy this one. It's a little dark, and maybe you can describe it to the listeners.
So we've got Batman and Spider-Man and like kind of like, you know, like really
They're going at
old
each other.
school get-ups. Like shit, yeah, they're trying to get at each other. I think it's
It
Stan
is
Lee,
Stan
isn't it?
Lee.
Yeah. And they're in like the 80s get-up shot. Like this is the stuff you'd see on Hollywood Boulevard, these suits. They're not very, very impressive. They're trying to fight each other and he says, "Stop or I'll call your parents." Oh, wait. Zooms in on
Brutal.
his face. Oh,
Brutal.
wait.
Oh,
Yeah,
poor Spider-Man.
that is. Thank you, Birdie. That right up your alley.
right up my alley for sure, dude. I love dark memes. Please do send us any more memes you guys see. We had a couple of other bits. Lucky social media guy. He wanted. We were actually talking the other day about the Lord of the Rings show. Interestingly, in line with what we were just talking about, and he said there's apparently been a ton of people online who are frustrated because the show's going to be, in quotation marks, too woke. I don't know anything about that.
How do they know that? How would they even know that?
I have no idea. So I'm intrigued.
Also, what is that? What about Lord of the Rings would be woke?
Dude, I don't know. Where are they going with this?
People got opinions on everything.
I know.
Dude.
I'm intrigued. So thank you.
Wild
Thank you,
times.
Lockie. Final one. Friend of the show, Matt, messaged in off the back of our movies we're most excited to see in 2022. And he said, how on earth did we not talk about Black Adam or The Flash? I mean, I know why you didn't talk about it, because
I'm
you're
just
a
not
Marvel
excited
shill.
about them.
I'm actually genuinely really excited for that Flash movie. I mean, it is a Batman movie, really, but I'm super pumped for that. I think it's going to be incredible. He also mentioned we didn't talk about Knives Out 2 or Sonic 2. And
oh, dude, I'm actually super excited for Knives Out 2. So that's a fair call.
How good was Knives Out 1?
Is it a book?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so.
Because I love that style book. I might be having to find that out.
I mean,
Anyway.
it might be. I know it's going to be set on a completely different set of characters. The main dude, who's Daniel Craig's character, he's coming back. He is going to again be the lead investigator, but I think this one's going to be set on a cruise ship, I believe, from the teaser we saw. So that's going to be an awesome one. Thank you, friend of the show, Matt. And like I say, please send us any memes or let us know what you guys think. What you think is going to bomb over the next couple of years TV show wise.
Please do
let us know if you think we're wrong. Let us know if you think we're idiots. We absolutely are.
There's no debating that. It's a matter of scale. Yeah.
There is absolutely no debating that. Shall we wrap up the show, DL?
Yeah, we should, man. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Don't forget the competition at Podcast Assemble. Get on there. Where can they find us?
They can find us at the Podcast Assemble at gmail.com or Podcast Assemble on Instagram.
If you like what you're hearing, give us a 5-star review. Why not? We got a new review the other day. We've actually got 3 5-star reviews now. I'm pumped. But
oh, wow.
Apparently it helps with the algorithms and stuff, so please do give us a 5-star review or any review you want. Both nice. Thank you to the Lucky the social media guy as always, and thank you, DL.
Thank you, Tommy.
Tally ho.